For those of you who don't know me, my name is Tony Zavidson. I serve Glencliff Neighborhood's board as the treasurer and slash VP slash neighborhood cruise director. That's what we do. A lot of fun stuff mostly. And I'm also on the PR and outreach committee of the 16th United group. You may have heard of Glencliff Neighbors, but if you haven't heard of 16th United, we are a coalition of neighbors across the 16th district advocating for thoughtful development and strong community input in future policy affecting our district. So if you want to find out more information about 16th United and what we're about and what we're working on, please talk to Barbara or Jim up here. She's our VP for 16th United. We also have some QR codes and some other information up here to come check out later. And next, what we're going to talk about is some thank yous. I really want to thank Dozen Bakery for staying open late for us to meet here and have some delicious pastries. I'd also like to thank the entire 16th United board and my fellow board members at Glencliff Neighborhood Group for helping put this on. This wouldn't be possible without you guys. Alexa, Katie, Julie, Jamie, everybody here tonight. Thank you guys. And I'd also like to thank our TDOT reps that have joined us tonight, Brian Ledford and Rebecca Hammonds. Thank you guys for being here. So as you guys know, we are here to learn more about these proposed interchange choice lanes up at Briley Parkway and I-24. 16th United members and affected homeowners submitted questions to TDOT in advance, and we asked them to create a 15-minute presentation covering as much of that information as possible. And what wasn't covered in that presentation, you guys get to come up and ask those questions. So we have some ground rules for that Q&A that's going to follow. Please line up right here at this mic stand, and keep your question under 60 seconds. This is a way to make sure that every single one of you guys gets to have a dialogue with these two. And also, most importantly, please be respectful. No yelling, interruptions. Don't throw any cookies or muffins at here or anything. Please don't.
Please.
Yeah. I want to eat them later. I don't want them on the ground. So, anyway, anybody who can't follow this rule will be asked to leave. Is everybody good with that?
Yeah.
I think you're good with that. Okay. All right. Well, I'm going to go ahead and pass this off to Rebecca and Brian, and I'll come back up here for the Q&A. Thank you, guys.
Thank you. Thank you, Tony, and really thank you to the district and to all of the community members. You know, you all who are here. I think we first want to share that along this process, we have found that there are very few communities similar to this that have the passion and the interests that you all have. And so, number one, we just really respect that, and that's why we wanted to be here tonight, because we want to make sure that you are seen and you are heard, and that's what this process is all about. My name, as he said, is Rebecca Hammonds. I am the TDOT P3 Communications Officer, or Choice Lanes spokesperson, essentially. And then I'll let Brian introduce himself.
Hey, I'm Brian Ledford, Bureau Chief over major projects at TDOT, which covers our Choice Lanes program, our public-private partnerships, and then other large projects across the state. Another one that we have in the works right now is a new bridge over the Mississippi River, replacing the old I-55 bridge in Memphis. So that's the major projects bureau. So yeah, you're going to talk about?
I'm going to talk about public comment period.
Yeah.
Set the stage. So this is really a part of what we're calling our public comment period. It is part of a federally regulated process called NEPA. This is the environmental process by which we are mandated by federal law to study the actual environmental impacts, social, economic, or not, I'm sorry, not economic, but environmental impacts to communities of a proposed project. So what we are doing now, these are public information meetings. We held 3 a couple weeks ago, I think. And currently there is a virtual one that is still live. We are currently in a public comment period that will wrap up soon. And so this is the time, this is the exact time that we would want this kind of feedback. You all have not missed the boat on information. We are still very early in this process. And so, this is kind of the perfect time to ask questions and to reach out and to make sure your voice is heard. With that, I'll turn it over to you.
Yeah. So there is a distinction between those public meetings that we held 2 weeks ago and tonight. The public meetings that we advertised and held 2 weeks ago, we had 25-ish subject matter experts that were there to answer questions. A lot of you all were there. Tony and I ran into each other there, which was kind of the beginning of, setting this meeting up. And you got a bureau chief and a comms officer up here, not 25 subject matter experts, but hopefully we can answer a lot of your questions or point you to where those answers are. So that's an important distinction.
And part of the reason that, I know he mentioned a presentation, there is a very specific reason we don't have a presentation. Part of this federally mandated effort is that we have to be consistent across the board when we're in this process. And so during this public comment period, we want to make sure that all the actual information that we're putting out there is completely consistent for all communities. And so we did not provide a presentation. All of the information that was there in those public meetings is on the handout that's being circulated right now. There's actually, if you don't have one, if you've come in late, there's a stack of them right over here. Thank you, yes, our van away. And it's also available on the virtual meeting room, which again, in that handout, there's a QR code on the back that'll take you directly there.
So, Rebecca and I have been doing this for well over a year, and we have found that in the public meetings, we always got the questions of why are you doing this? Why user fees? Why are you doing this? And so it's best to just go ahead and hit that first, because it really sets the stage or gives the context for why this project is here. So as usual, it's about dollars. TDOT's annual budget for projects and programs is about $1.2 billion. And that's been flat for several years because we're pretty much totally funded by the gas taxes. So gas and diesel taxes, and those have flattened out, not because everybody's buying an EV, which is the first thing that popped into my mind, but it's because cars are getting more fuel efficient. So there's more cars on the road, more miles being driven, but cars are getting more and more efficient. So our funding source is about $1.2 billion. So, and we're a pay-as-you-go state. TDOT has never used debt or a bonding program like some states do to borrow large amounts of money to do big things. So we have that constraint that pay-as-you-go, $1.2 billion flat, to look at providing urban congestion relief. And these urban congestion relief projects cost billions and billions and billions of dollars, just a single project. And so we really didn't have any way to address urban congestion in a meaningful way. And so the legislature passed the Transportation Modernization Act 2 years ago in 23. And what that act did was it enabled and instructed TDOT to use public-private partnerships to bring urban congestion relief. And so it's not the state of Tennessee borrowing money, it's private partners borrowing money. And so that's how we can look at a project like I-24 Choice Lanes, 26 miles of interstate widening, 2 lanes in each direction. It's probably in excess of $4 billion. It's allowing us to bring transportation, bring solutions to transportation problems that we couldn't envision 3 years ago because of that fiscal constraint. And of that $1.2 billion a year, about half of it goes to just state of good repair, resurfacing, repairing bridges, those, which cuts that in half and leaves you with only around $600 million to tackle billions and billions and billions of dollars worth of need. So that's kind of that's the why. The legislature also was very prescriptive in what we could use these public-private partnerships for. They said it has to be additive volume. You can't go out. Some other states have really stepped in a hole when they went out and built some express lanes and they pulled their HOV lane into the express lanes, or they took a lane away. And our legislature said, no, you can't do that. Any lane that's there now has to remain free to use. And anything you build that's going to be a user fee facility, which is how these billions get paid back, anything you build has to be additive. It has to be extra capacity, which is what we're looking at now on I-24. So why I-24? Most congested corridor in Tennessee. That was one of the questions that was submitted, was what studies went into this project. And congestion studies that were done 5 or 6 years ago, that ranked all of the most congested corridors in Tennessee. As you can imagine, Nashville accounted for quite a few of those, right? And I-24 between downtown and Murfreesboro was the most congested corridor in Tennessee, both in terms of the duration of the congestion. It doesn't really have a big trough in the daytime like a lot of urban interstates do. The intensity and the duration of the congestion. So that's the why. That's why we're looking at 24, and that's just some context behind why we're doing this big thing.
So where we are currently, we touched on that a little bit, but I'm again going to stress we are in the very early stages of this proposed project. We're working through the environmental process. We've had this most recent round of public informational meetings. We'll conclude or wrap this comment period up, and then hopefully in the winter there will be another opportunity for you to have your voice heard and to review the actual document, the environmental assessment that reviews and looks at all the environmental impacts. Those will be public hearings. It'll be kind of similar to this, actually.
Really?
We'll have a formal presentation, and there will be a microphone, and you can ask your questions, give your comments. We're hoping for that to happen sometime this coming winter. We're hoping early next year.
Yeah, I think January-ish.
January, February-ish. So that will be the final stamp on the environmental process. And then once we move through that, we will then move through procurement with the shortlisted teams that are vying for the project. At that point, we will, at some point, a year? So end of 26. We're hoping, quarter three of 26, we're hoping to select a best value proposer with the hope to begin construction in 2027. Now, that is a very loose timeline, and that is in a perfect world. If everything goes according to plan, and we all know we don't live in a perfect world, so again, just stressing, it's a very loose timeline. So that's where we stand now. I think what we want to make sure to stress is that what is available to you currently is the environmental information, but also the conceptual design. And so what you see in a conceptual design is a very small percentage of what our team has brought to the private sector or these teams vying for the job to say, hey, this is what we know we need. This is the base conceptual design of a project. This is what we are studying environmentally. They then take that and build upon it. So it is conceptual. This will likely morph and change, but the actual study footprint and the environmental impacts it has, those are set in stone. It is up to them to then understand if they change the design, what that would mean, and then take on additional studies if necessary. But again, conceptual design, things are still to be determined and things could change. Anything else?
I don't like her referring to my project schedule as loose, because it's my job to make sure we stay on schedule.
You're creating the perfect world, right?
That's my job. So, what she said about we're providing a conceptual design, call it 20% design, to the folks who will eventually build something. They have a lot of incentive to optimize that design, to further minimize right-of-way impacts, to further minimize environmental impacts, because it's in our shared interest for that to happen. So that's one element to this that we don't see in a typical TDOT project, and that's that the final design will likely go through another NEPA process, right? So what we're going through now is an environmental process on the conceptual design, and that's what we are studying the impacts for. And according to the NEPA process, we're required to talk about how we're going to mitigate those impacts. So if where the studies point to noise, visual, whatever types of impacts, we're required to talk about how we're going to mitigate those, and those commitments pass along to our private partner. So that's just a yeah. And do you want us to go through those questions first, Tony?
Actually, we'll go ahead and start the live Q&A now since it's been about 15 minutes.
That's great.
All
That's
right.
great.
Okay.
Okay. So, anybody have questions about this? All right. Well, form a line. Come on down. Price is right. All right. So, when you line up, please, when you get up to the mic, please state your name, what street you live on, how this might affect you, and your question.
Thanks, Tony. My name is Barbara Clinton. I live on Peachtree Street. And I guess my first question is what you do with our public comments. We've been asked to provide public comments on a number of issues, and sometimes they just go off into the ether. What do you commit yourselves to do with our comments?
Yeah, that's a great question, Barbara. Thank you. This, as I mentioned, this is part of the NEPA process, right? So every comment you're giving to this point is helping our team, design team, engineering team, but also our environmental team, form what we're creating, right? So even
Those
just
are all law.
yes, so even just recently, like last year, we had public meetings, and some of the comments that were provided about very specific locations were actually brought into the design process, and we made some modifications because of them. So we've already seen that happening. But in short, we are taking all of the responses, comments, questions. We are logging and tracking all of them. We will then create what's called a public matrix or a public comment summary. That will be posted online in, I would say, the next few weeks. I don't want to overcommit myself. It's going to take us a minute. It's going to take us a minute to get through them. But we log all of them, we read through all of them, and we respond. Now, the summary will be high-level topics of, okay, right-of-way issues, design issues, safety concerns, right? So there will be, it will be in summary form, but the individualized comments and responses are then included in the environmental document, the environmental assessment. So at the end of the year, when we provide the environmental assessment, a lot of that is recorded and included in the full formal federally submitted document. And all of that is used to then inform the environmental process.
Can you say who makes the decision on which comments get used?
Well, they're responded to.
Yeah, so we're responding to all of them, but in terms of what would be changed or used,
We're looking to see if we've missed something. There's been a lot of studies done to understand impacts before we came to the public asking for comment. So those studies have already informed a lot of those aspects like noise, visual, those environmental impacts. So the comments, there may be some comments that point to something that we missed in those studies. And so they're about filling gaps. We want to identify all the impacts because we have to mitigate all the impacts.
Sorry,
ask a clarifying question? Can you clarify what constitutes a formal public comment and whether these would be considered formal public comments?
What constitutes a formal public comment is if it is provided during the comment period and if it is submitted through an official comment portal. The reason I pause is because I need clarification. I know for certain that if you were to submit your comments via the virtual meeting room, our 24 Choice Lanes email, or over the phone to our TDOT staff, our communications staff, there's a hotline. I know those would be official formal comments and they would be documented. What I would need clarification on is if the question at the microphone would be considered an official formal comment, because this gathering is not part of the official, it's not a meeting that we created and set up specifically for our comment period. This was an informal request that came through. Now, is it during the comment period? Yes, and so that's why I would encourage everyone to submit their comments. But I'm sorry, I don't know the exact answer when it comes to the questions asked.
I would advise speakers to know that they're not making an official public comment.
That's a great point. That's a great point.
As this is being recorded, if we provide a transcript, would they be considered?
I can take that back and ask. I'm sorry, I am not the NEPA expert, so I would just need to find out. I would hate to overpromise.
If
That's
a
all.
list of questions are submitted to the email,
Yes, ma'am.
that would be like a formal comment?
Yes.
Okay,
Not questions, but comments on impacts.
right.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right, next question, please.
I'm Becca Rabin. I am from Drummond Drive. And so, I have a lot of questions. I also have questions that neighbors sent me who weren't able to come here. I want to make a statement about what was said earlier about the budget being flat because of EV drivers. Because as an EV driver, I bought a used 2015 Prius. I pay more every year to register it. So I just wondered, where that money actually goes, if not to the TDOT budget, because it's honestly really annoying. There's a reason why I bought that. Secondly, I would just love to know when the overlay is going to be available for us so that the homeowners whose properties will be taken by eminent domain will know. And I'll go ahead and
Okay.
say.
No, I mean, sit down, please. We will answer. Can you speak to EV parity?
Sure.
Yeah.
So that was one of the things the legislators did in the Transportation Modernization Act is they found that the average vehicle owner in Tennessee pays about $275-ish a year in fuel taxes. And so what the act did was it ratcheted up the EV registration fee to where there would be parity between the average gas burning passenger vehicle and EVs. That's what that was. And so no, that's an effort to, that's absolutely an effort to help hold that 1.2 billion. But the fuel efficiency of vehicles is outpaced. The percentage of EVs in Tennessee is still very, very small. It's fuel efficiency that is really the enemy of the gas tax. And this is not a Tennessee problem. This is every state in the U.S. Problem. And other states are looking for ways to ensure sustainable funding. So what the legislators, what the vision was for choice lanes is that we don't have to go into debt. We don't have to tax everybody. We don't have to raise everybody's taxes. We only charge the folks who choose to use that facility. And so in that, they saw a way to, I guess, give Tennesseans the right to either pay or not pay.
So on the back of the handout, the QR code will, if you scan that, it will take you directly to that virtual meeting room. When you enter it, you may need to like sign in, and again, you can put your information or your neighbors or a fake one, who cares? But I want to make sure at the tab that says alternatives, or maybe it says design, but there's a tab on the left side, that alternative, then in the middle there's a picture of a map. That is, you referenced it, you said, I think you said maybe like overlay, but that is the conceptual design. It is publicly available and has been since September 30th when we started. Yeah, so we are not in the right-of-way phase yet. We are not to a place officially in regulation or any actual like project phase yet to where we would be able to even properly have those discussions. So we are hopeful in the next year to be able to do that. The thing is, what we don't want to do is to take a proposed project to a property owner and tell you what, whether it be a partial or a full or whatever the proposed possible impact could be, and tell you that when we don't even have federal approval to move forward. We're just too early. So I would say in the next year or so.
It's after the NEPA process, but more importantly, it's after, as I said, this is a little different animal because the final design will very likely be different from the conceptual design that we have posted. And that two-step process of the final design that is advanced, that's when we would have clarity on right-of-way. And that's where we might see that the private partner has managed to dodge some parcels that we thought were going to be impacted. Again, it's too early to speak definitively about right-of-way. There's information in the public meeting space about the right-of-way process, so you can understand that. It's the same process that's used on hundreds and hundreds of parcels every year, the majority of which don't involve eminent domain. There's mutually agreeable offer on the table. So yeah, I mean
That's it.
Yeah.
We're just not there yet.
I just want to say real quick, we have a lot of people want to ask questions, so please try to do one question at a time and try to keep your question down to a minute. Thank you.
Yeah, we'll try to keep our answers a little shorter. Sorry.
Thank you, guys.
Ready?
Yes, sir.
My name's Eric Weiser. I live on Glenmont, within one house of I-24. There is no wall. My neighbor, I-24, the lanes is probably 75 feet away. I have lived here about 47 years in the same area, so I have seen changes. One of the changes was, I think about 15 or 20 years ago, is when they added 2 lanes, a lane on each side of I-24. When they did it, there was a thing about the council person who became a judge later, Amanda, I forget what her last name was, and it went up to DTOT, whatever it is, and it was refused. And they said we didn't have enough people, was what was put out. Now the commissioner, I think, was in Brentwood.
What was refused?
Refused to put a wall up.
Okay.
Oh, a noise wall request.
Yes, well, it's not only a noise wall. When they built this, they also cut the drainage off, so we can't drain an area which is filled with mosquitoes, and this has been going on like 15 years. And people have tried to do things, but we have never been able to get anything. So what my question relates to, and based on this experience, sorry to be a little long-winded here with that, is what is the environmental impact? Will that handle this, and will someone come out and do the decibels? Because in my backyard, you can't hardly carry a conversation. You get to hear all the fire engines. It's just like a racetrack, and it's that way a good part of the day. It's just like you'll be at the Speedway. And so that is my concern, is they do that, because there's a whole section there that there's no water, and where the noise comes right across, and we got other neighbors, the same problem. But okay,
Yeah.
that's all. I've done my piece.
No, this is this is exactly
Yeah.
the types of comments that need to be logged officially to make sure that the noise studies that we've already done adequately covered the area of the addresses that you're talking about. So please log those. This could be where we might have a gap.
Do you guys have those public comment sheets with you that you had at the public meeting?
I don't have the paper form, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I will get paper and we can find a way if you don't have access to internet or if you would just rather write them down, I can find a way to get one.
Is this the appropriate place?
Yes, yes.
Hi, everyone who doesn't know me. I'm Katie. I'm the secretary for the Glencliff Neighborhood Group. I'm taking notes, so I will kind of summarize some of the concerns in my notes, and I will submit them. But I still encourage everyone to submit their own for, that. But I will
That's
make a
awesome.
summary.
And you're going to submit on the portal.
I was going to send the email. That's
It's
easier
okay.
because I think
Okay.
the,
As long as
You
it's
can
through
get it
the
in.
24 choice lane
that's,
email.
yeah.
Okay, good.
That's
Just because
exactly
I think I've heard it's kind of character limited on the portal.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
Not great.
Sorry. Didn't mean to.
All right, guys, let's keep going. Thank you
Yeah.
for your question.
To your point, yes, those noise studies have been done, and they are measuring. That's part of the process.
Yeah. Hey, my name's Jody Roberts. I'm one of the developers at Noble Place Townhomes at address 3136 Glencliff Road. It's on the east side of Thompson Lane, right close to the bypass. And my partners and I, we purchased 7 single-family lots, a total of 11 acres. We met with the Glencliff community, the neighborhood group. We met with Jenny Welsh when we were applying to get the property rezoned. We took it through Metro Planning, Metro City Council, did the whole 9 yards. And I learned about choice lanes 3 or 4 weeks ago for the first time. And whenever I'm studying and looking at your website, I see our property of 11 acres. When we were doing the site work, we cleared, demoed the houses. We've got machines out there, and all the visuals from your website illustrate that. And I'm wondering why TDOT does not communicate with Metro Planning, City Council.
I got that for reference.
Yeah.
Too.
We've
Like,
spent a
that's
lot of money.
That's our development. That's actually, at the time of conceptual design, it's actually overlapping a clear construction site. So like I'm a buyer, I think there's
Right.
probably 10 to 15 buyers here, so that's kind of our question as well.
Sure.
Just, we can see
So
it pretty clearly.
I can start or you can start.
Yeah, I mean,
I want you to know. I believe you. I hear you. I'm not discrediting anything you have said, and we have been. When the legislation was passed in 2023, it was made clear that choice lanes or express lanes, a user fee facility, was going to be the proposed solution. The 24 corridor was voted on by the Transportation Modernization Board and identified as the first project in February of last year. So to say that Metro maybe either wasn't aware or didn't communicate that to you, I'm sorry. I cannot speak for them. We have been communicating to the Metro entities since that vote. We have had stakeholder conversations with NDOT, with the mayor. We can only speak to what we have done, and we have had those conversations.
yeah, and but this is also at its root an interstate project. This is not a metro project. We're certainly working with the MPO on their planning process, but this is a federal. This is on the national highway system. So this isn't something where
They may not would have come to you
right
because of that, right?
Yeah, I was just saying if they communicate with Nashville or Metro.
And we did the public meeting circuit
last year.
as well. We did some very widely publicized
August, there were
news.
163.
Yeah.
Never,
So
never. I mean, just
Yeah.
we
we did
didn't know anything about
the
it.
circuit. So
Yeah.
Clearly.
I mean, I can go through all of the ways in
Yeah.
which we tried to publicize it, and it sounds like several of you didn't know about them either, and I hate that because that means I failed in my job, but at the same time, there's only so much money we can put toward advertising or so many news stories I can do, which we tried to do all those things.
But you can't like notify people in a direct path to their home. Like, that's
So we have done that. I mean, we did every door direct. Wait.
We are not allowed, it's not appropriate for us to approach individual property owners until we have clarity on a right-of-way map.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought we sent out mailers to individual addresses.
Yeah, we sent out.
That's what I mean.
Yeah, but in terms of approaching you and saying, hey, we might hit your property.
Yeah, this is not
That's not appropriate.
at this stage.
At this stage of concept and design. But we are trying to get out ahead of that.
I'm sorry. It's appropriate when it's too late, but it wouldn't be at that point.
yes, it would.
Yeah.
I mean, the block. I mean, that's a life-changing, like, financial penalty.
Absolutely, it's going to affect our.
Okay, everybody, real quick, if you want to have a comment, get in line. We have people who want to have questions here. So if you want to get up and get in line, we'd love to hear what you have to say.
Yeah, just real quick follow-up question. I know y'all had a meeting in August and had an alternative due to,
Yeah, we can't hear you.
Sorry about that. I know you had an alternative. There's going to be bike lanes and pedestrian lanes potentially on East Thompson Lane.
Yes,
So y'all are going to switch the bypass over to, Briley Parkway. Is that correct? Potentially?
What he's asking is, are you moving the choice lane from
Choice
the
lanes.
center to the outside? Is that an alternate? The blue line, is that an alternate? I can show you the picture.
No.
So like,
So
we just were wanting
the-
some clarity, like,
Yeah, some
like
clarity.
is this in the middle also a choice lane? And the
The-
outside is an additional choice lane as an alternate? The
The,
blue?
in that concept that you're showing,
Yeah.
choice lanes are in the center
Right,
at grade.
okay. And then the blue on the outside would be what?
Are those the elevated lanes?
So there would also be elevated choice lanes, so it'd be elevated.
That wouldn't make sense.
Because this is what was dropped off at our
I mean, this may be something that needs to be discussed afterwards, because we have a whole lot of people.
No, we can, they'll talk to us after.
All right, because there's a whole lot of people here who want to ask questions.
And no one can
Yeah, this
see
is-
what you're showing.
Sure,
Yeah,
absolutely,
it's
absolutely.
annoying.
And this would have been a great question.
It would, yeah, I mean, yeah.
In the public
Yeah.
meetings.
Again, we found out like a week ago, flyer got dropped off earlier, that's why, sorry for that. That's why people are so upset, they said that.
Sure.
Yeah, my name is Jimmy Kubach from
Please speak into the mic.
Noble Townhomes.
Thank you.
And I was just curious why you would take on private equity funding, you could call it what it is, it's really what it is, private investment, and not do a bond. And I have a reason for this, because every situation I've ever had to deal with private equity, they don't care about one person in here, not one person in Nashville. They'd wear an ice skate and step on everyone's throat to make a buck. And I'm just really curious why you're taking on private equity and not a bond like 95% of the other countries, the rest of the country does.
We are working in the realm of what is possible for us, given the policy positions that are
In Tennessee.
that are taken in Tennessee. And Tennessee has not used bonds for transportation projects, and frankly, that's a political issue as much as it is. I mean, right?
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
we're
I mean,
at the bottom of it, yeah.
Well,
But
and in terms of ensuring that the developer partner behaves,
Yeah,
for
that's
lack of a better word, we're learning from agreements that are in place for express lanes in Virginia, North Carolina, Georgia, Texas, Florida, and all the areas where they said, I wish we'd had this in our concession agreement. And we've got some of the best advisors out there helping us craft a document that keeps them from your ice skate scenario. We're working very hard.
okay,
toward
thank
that.
you. I guess we'll find out.
My name is Alan Dyer.
Alan, can you speak into the mic, please?
My name's Alan Dyer.
There you go.
My name is still Alan Dyer.
Hi, Alan.
Yeah. Just to kind of reiterate a little bit, this thing that's going on Glencliff Road and Noble Homes is absolutely huge. It is devastating. I mean, and looking back at the information we have, it just seems like there was a lack of due diligence going on this. And hey, I know people would like to stay right on top of this because there's a $60 million complex that just went up. It is on the verge of not demolition, but diminishment, financially and otherwise, as is our whole community. And we're losing friends and neighbors in this, and to us it's huge. Beyond reiterating that issue, what kind of recompense is TDOT going to do to communities that you have sort of devastated and diminished, where you've lowered property values? People don't sell their homes at the values they have now. And the neighborhood will change drastically. Are you going to work with the community to improve those circumstances?
The impacts that are determined to come out of the NEPA process are one thing. And as I said, we're required to speak to how we're going to mitigate those impacts.
Us.
Yes.
Yes.
Mitigate.
Yeah.
Yes. And so that's one thing. The right-of-way process is an old. It's not a new process, and there's really no. There's not a lot of guesswork in it. It's pretty well spelled out, and it's something that we follow every day, whether it's widening an interstate or putting in a turn lane at an intersection for a little safety improvement job. That right-of-way process falls under a federally regulated uniform act that our right-of-way professionals follow every day.
Would that include, for example, maybe you would go across the highway and use the land that is now a parking lot instead of plow through all the homes on our side?
Yeah, there were a lot more than, as these designers are trying to figure out how do we fit 4 new lanes through this area with the least amount of impact. They're looking at floodplain, they're looking at properties, the built environment, and the natural environment. So as I said, our designers who came up with this 20% conceptual design got this to a certain point, and then others will take it from there. And as I said, if they can avoid property impacts, it's in their interest and ours.
And along the way, you will engage with the community about what is happening, what the conversations are, and so forth?
There are absolute touch points over the next year that will give folks an opportunity to see more information as it's generated, respond officially to that, and as we move this. This is a long-range project. You can imagine that 26 miles of interstate widening. If we got to commercial close in the third quarter of 26, which Rebecca doesn't think is feasible, and then construction started late in 27, we're talking about 2033, 2034 lanes open. So it's a long-term project, and we want we have to engage with the public at the appropriate times in these early stages. And this meeting wasn't even on the radar. It's just something that we agreed to come to help fill gaps.
We want to know what's happening.
Of course, and I want to be, we want to be a connector. We want to make sure to do that. I mean, I know I personally have reached out to Jenny and made sure that she has information, and that each council person, right? Like, we are trying short of going to every neighborhood in this 26-mile corridor, I hope that you at least give me a little bit of grace in that I, as one person for a communications effort on a 26-mile length project, and we are doing our best. And so, short of going to every neighborhood, we're working through the official channels to try to inform as many people as possible. Thank you.
I yield the floor. Chase Berta, I got a couple of questions, but I'll try to narrow it down. But first, how many feet do you guys need from the edge of, say, your emergency lane over? Once your emergency lane ends, how many feet do you guys need of space, or can you just come up as close as possible? Can you clarify that?
Shoulder.
Like off the shoulder. Is there?
It varies. It varies based on drainage, slope requirements, whether it's an elevated structure. It varies.
Okay. Is there a minimum that you know of, or
No?
No. Okay. And then, was there comparisons made between this Choice Lane project and the Atlanta project that you know of, like the Atlanta Choice Lane project they did?
I mean, we were using Georgia as a peer state to compare multiple projects.
Do you know?
Wait.
Do you know?
Are you talking about the one lane each direction, or the?
Yeah, the Peach Pass. It's similar. It's
75,
Ball Pass.
yeah.
Well, the concept as a express lane, yes, but a particular road, you know, they're all apples to oranges.
Yeah. No. You're talking about in the morning it goes in, and in the evening it comes out. Where
on
it's,
85, where it's a true choice lane. So
Okay.
they saw a 7% reduction in traffic. But in zip codes that had a higher income, they saw an 84% decrease in travel time. So I'm just wondering, is this a true fix if you're going to add choice lanes that are costly, or is this just something that 10 years from now you look back and say, we still need to widen? I-24, let's face it, is the lowest income, like where we're talking about, is the lowest income coming out of Nashville. How many people are genuinely going to spend another $4 to $8 a day to get home? So you're talking maybe 5% of people? I mean, I don't think I would use them. I don't think anybody in here would use them. So my question is, what consideration has been made if 5 years from now you say, oh shit, we still need to widen this interstate, traffic is not reduced, but this private company is making a bunch of money and we uprooted a bunch of people's houses. Like, I mean, that's just how it seems to me.
Yeah, I hear you. I think I have to go back to the first back to the first comment,
Yeah.
which was, given the current funding paradigm, we wouldn't touch 24.
Okay.
So it's not about, I said, given the current funding paradigm, we wouldn't touch 24 in a meaningful, our old paradigm was the biggest project we've ever awarded before we started this process was $186 million. It was Alcoa Highway. That's the largest project that TDOT was able to bite off in one chunk because of our $1.2 billion a year constraint. So this isn't about would TDOT have funded this differently and just done this widening. This is a 1 or a 0.
Right.
Without the private financing and the private equity being brought to bear through the P3, we wouldn't be able to do this. We wouldn't be able to solve this urban congestion problem.
And just what I wanted to say in that is I know for a fact that engineering has not been engaged. I know that engineering consulting is not taking place. So, like in terms of like actual consulting, drawing up the plans for the roads has not taken place, right?
It has.
It has taken place. So you've
Yeah,
engaged
significant
engineers.
amount has. Yes.
Okay. So
Yeah.
you're talking about in terms of like private consultants you've engaged.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So, but you just said you're not engaged people until 2026.
We're not engaging property owners because of the official right-of-way process.
Okay.
Any actual acquisitions or talking about settling up on property, that will not happen yet.
Okay. So do you feel like it's likely to happen then? You feel confident it's going to happen?
We're going to need to buy property to add
Yes.
4 lanes to.
There will be impacts. I mean, that's what that's why you're here. You've seen the conceptual design. There will be, but we are working diligently to try to lessen the amount of impacts as possible, as much as possible.
It's just, well, I guess my confusion, I'm sorry to take so much time, is just, at one point you say it's all concepts, but then you say significant portions have been done. But we can't, like, This is
Well,
our
we have to
fault.
do the engineering to even come to a conceptual design.
Right, of
We,
course.
we're
Of
not
course.
gonna bring a
But
conceptual
you're-
design without the engineering work behind it.
Right, okay, 100%, but if you're saying the engineers have been engaged, they've been engaged and working, right? Which typically how that
They
works.
generated what
Yeah,
you showed.
yeah.
Is that the depth of is that from inside TDOT, or like, is that what that's from?
Yeah,
Like, you've
yes.
gotten that up?
That's
Okay.
from,
Yes.
that's from our engineering advisors
Okay,
that are, we have folks internally, but we have a lot of folks that we've hired
right,
to generate, and those look like colored lines on a Google map, but there's a whole lot of calculations about grade and about how they interact with the road that's there. So, yeah.
okay.
So I can't speak to that specific stat.
I know that's more politics. I think more so my point was like just wanting you guys to say that you would likely, if it was TDOT's money only, this would never be the solution. I think it's
We
pretty
would
clear
not
to
be
say.
able to, we would,
A traditional
Yeah, no,
widening
that's-
of I-24 wouldn't be on the table either.
Right.
it
Yeah,
would
that's kind of
take,
more so
it
my-
would, we
I don't-
didn't have to do it.
Yeah, look, the $4+ billion to just widen it with general purpose
Right.
lanes wouldn't be there.
And my point in saying that is the reason why someone's doing that is because they stand to gain money from it. So I don't get the idea that they're going to care about what we say. I mean, like that's where it's hard to.
I we can't speak on behalf of the
Right,
developer
right.
team. What I can say, or what we can say, is that we're hoping to bring some kind of relief or solution. This happens to be the you all have admitted it, right? You know, we all feel it on this corridor. It is the most congested corridor in the state, and so we feel the impacts of that. We had to start somewhere, so we started in the worst area, right? In terms of congestion. And so, as he said, like it is this or nothing, and to bring something to Tennesseans, especially in this highly congested area, this is a solution. And it is a solution because of the P3 process. We cannot afford as a state to bring a viable solution to the table. This, with the user fee going to the private sector to then repay their debt, this is the viable solution. Hi. Hi, welcome.
Drummond Drive again. So, I know that this is probably going to come up in the environmental impact survey, but like in terms of how hot the temperature is in this room and how the neighborhood feels about it, I feel like it's important for y'all to understand we're impacted by increased airport traffic. They've changed the runways. We're hearing so many more planes now. We're impacted by CSX. CSX is actually like super collaborative and has been really helpful with us in a way that TDOT and NDOT never have, in my experience, as someone who emails a lot of people. I live within a mile of Elon Musk's tunnel project. I live within a mile of Briley Parkway. I have no sound barriers for my house. And so when it comes to people feeling blindsided, people feeling like you're stepping on our necks and you don't care and you don't listen to us, it's because we have all these private projects like Elon Musk's tunnel and like these choice lanes that will benefit wealthy people who don't live in this neighborhood and will be commuting in and out. And none of us. That's what I have to say.
Let me speak to that. There are two things I'll point to is that in other states, peer states that have done express lanes similar to what we're doing, between 15 and 20% of the traffic chooses to use the express lanes. And the benefit is that the folks who don't choose to pay still see a benefit in the general purpose lanes.
For those of us who don't commute on 24, what's going to be the benefit for us? What's the
general consensus.
I don't drive.
One person at a
Hopefully
time.
you would be able to, right? I mean, like with that kind of action.
I mean, I won't because I don't need to.
Okay, and then the second thing is that early on in this process, and this was before Choose How You Move, we made the decision that that transit buses are going to use the choice lanes for free, and had early conversations in partnership with WeGo, and so trying to balance the fact that this isn't just about folks that are blowing by this community on 24, but it's also how do we provide some benefits to folks that are in an urban area.
We're already getting like the worst of all of it. So I want to hear that we're going to get sound barriers that we don't have right now. I want to hear that the entire stretch is getting sound barriers, so I don't have to hear the racing all night. Like, I want to hear some real feasible ways this is going to help my elderly neighbors who haven't been on 24 in a decade and will not go on 24. How's it going to help us? Because if our tax money is paying for it,
Your tax money is
It's
not.
not. That's
I
what we
mean,
want to make sure.
tax money is going to be paying for stuff, but regardless of that, forget that last comment.
Okay.
How's it going to benefit our neighborhood for people who don't use the interstate?
I mean, it's an interstate project.
It's an interstate
right?
project.
How are you going to look out for us? What are you going to do? You
I
gonna
mean, hopefully
promise
it's this.
sound barriers?
No, we can't promise noise
The
walls at this
the
point.
noise studies will point to areas.
They will
that-
identify based on the actual study.
Because it's hell right now. And I
can't
will tell
imagine.
you that the sound between the airport and Interstate 24 and Briley Parkway, I will stop taking up time, but it is so freaking loud right now.
I'm sure.
Hey, I'm Spencer. I live in East Glencliff. I was curious, once the project is rolling along, if there will be any sort of point of contact between the Tennessee Department of Transportation and the neighborhood, the homeowners. What would be the best means of communication if something does arise during the project?
That's me.
Okay.
And region.
And yeah, so our Middle Tennessee regional office would also be in support there, but it's gonna be me.
Okay.
We will also be working with the developer and have specific expectations put upon them. They will have to work with neighborhood associations, with council members, with other local agencies along the corridor. So, if there is a regularly standing meeting that we as TDOT identify as, hey, this is a mandatory thing that you as a developer must attend on a regular basis, then it will be asked of them and they will attend. And so, we are your mediator, your gateway, right? And that is to Becca's question. I think the added benefit for those who maybe don't use the interstate is at least what we are aiming for or striving for is this connection, this communication effort, and at least meeting you where you are.
Yeah.
Yes, ma'am. Yeah.
It's on the website.
Yeah, it is on the website currently now, but I will make sure you have it.
That's great.
Let me just, and this is partially an answer to your question, but partially going back to the ice skate thing. We've done a lot of peer state interaction, trying to understand what do folks who interact with these facilities in other states, what do they experience? And pretty much without exception, what we hear is, well, you experience somebody that are driven by market forces to provide a really good product. They want their choice lanes to be smoother than the general purpose lanes because they want people to choose to pay a user fee to get in there. They want folks to have a great customer experience.
I think that's the reverse of what we
Right.
Because I mean, the normal roads are gonna go to shit. That's what that sounds like.
No. I'm just saying.
I mean, it is what I mean. I mean, you can do it.
Yeah, I think we just resurfaced I-24. So, actually, at the end of this project, the developer has to resurface it right before they hand it over to us, so that it's in good shape. So, we're not sitting back letting someone run roughshod, but we've got a lot of really smart people that are crafting agreements and restrictions on this entity to make sure that we stay aligned and to make sure that Tennesseans get the benefit that we're going after here. So.
Next question, please.
I am John Kramer, Noble Place resident, 1319 Shannon Lane. I'm curious how you would address anecdotal concerns that adding lanes compound the problem all the time. I'd like to know if 74 cents a mile is an accurate figure for usage for a baseline. It's from the website. And I would also like to know how disrupting communities, charging Tennessee residents to use a highway, and creating a forever revenue stream for a private company is benefiting the community.
I'm trying to remember all of them. I'm trying to remember.
In
74 cents a mile.
Yeah.
Anecdotal information that this compounds the problem with more lanes, more cars.
Okay, so some states have proven that you can't widen yourself out of congestion. That, look at
Boston,
California,
Atlanta,
California. But what does make traffic move more efficiently are managed lane solutions, which choice lanes fall into that category, where you segregate flows and you eliminate a lot of the weaving that creates the congestion.
Has that worked anywhere?
It's working in North Carolina, it's working in Texas, it's working in Virginia. It's the peer projects that we're learning from, we're looking at projects that are working.
Okay, government is not supposed to be for profit.
Okay.
My name is Barbara Clinton. I live on Peachtree Street. I'm glad to hear that you've got a lot of smart people working on this. I'm going to try to keep my question brief, but there's three things I'm interested in. What is the range of the number of houses that you anticipate having to remove in order to do this project? I'm assuming you've looked at some numbers already and you have some, not definitive, but you have some numbers. So that's one thing I think a lot of us are interested in. The second thing is, have you looked at, and I assume you have, what the possible fares will be and what the income level of people who can utilize these lanes might be? Because I agree with the prior speaker, we're worried that this is not going to be useful in our neighborhood to our neighbors. And then the third thing is, who are these private investors, the individuals or the corporations, and will they make a profit on this investment that they've made?
Sure. Okay.
So when it comes to the user fees, there are, I think, maybe one or two figures on the website. They are pulled from experience in other states, but I'm not going to go as far as to give any kind of range, simply because it would be magic numbers. It would be imaginary numbers, right? It's something that we just don't know at this point. What I can tell you is that the user fee methodology is something that we are setting as a state to protect the state and to protect drivers that will use it. It will be voted on by the Transportation Modernization Board, and it will be the parameters by which the developer gets to change or flex those rates. This is dynamic pricing, which means during rush hour or high demand times of day, that price will increase. Another reason that it's very difficult for us to give some kind of number or range, right? The goal here is that these lanes, as he has mentioned, continue to flow and continue to operate. My worst case scenario when it comes to a choice lane is, let's say I know I'm about to be late to pick up my kid from daycare, and the late fee is astronomical, as many of them are. If I choose to get in a choice lane because it's cheaper than my late fee, but then the lane fails because it's not priced correctly and too many people are in that lane, and then not only have I paid for a choice lane, I have now paid for my late fee at my daycare, then they have not done their job and they have failed me as a user. So the dynamic pricing is to ensure that they are flowing and working and making sure that you are getting value for money if you choose to use those lanes. I think that's it with the pricing, correct?
The other questions.
I don't have details about right away off the top of my head, and because a lot of that is still so subject to change, because this is the conceptual design And sometimes it's possible that a retaining wall can be used rather than a slope. There are a lot of variables that just still aren't defined in the design to talk about a number of property impacts.
There was a third one.
What was your
Where the businesses
Oh,
incorporate.
Yeah,
short list
there-
of what's available.
Yeah, it's on the website. It shows the primary equity and design members of the teams. Those companies are from all over the world, but the 4 teams that are active in the procurement are not just a single company. They're a team that is formed, that has created a special purpose entity just to pursue this project.
I think what we're asking is who makes up those entities, and also it's hard to believe that you don't have a range in mind of the number of houses that would be taken down or needed between 10 and 400 or something like that.
Yes.
You know that you have to look at these as you do your plan.
You're right.
I just don't.
We
I just don't have
understand.
that.
At this point, and I'm going to be very transparent, it would be inappropriate and irresponsible for us to share that kind of range simply because, number one, we have not engaged with anyone for the right-of-way purposes. So we would be saying something prior to the actual process even beginning. And number two, like you mentioned, it will likely change. And so while we want to give you all of the information that we can, we also have to do our due diligence to make sure that we are not sharing information in an irresponsible manner. And I know that's not the answer that is great or palatable, but it just is the honest truth.
Good. Yeah, hi, Jerry Stankovich. I live at 3136 Glencliff, the Noble Place subdivision. You all followed the process, so this is not personal, but the process didn't work in terms of getting information. My realtor didn't know about this. People who built the subdivision didn't know about this. So I don't know how that happened, but it did. So nothing on you personally. Somebody asked me to clarify something. When would you be reaching out to people whose property, I thought we heard 26. You'd be reaching out to people whose properties are impacted, and how will they be notified?
I'm going to get the right-of-way process handout if you want to
Sure.
answer that.
How will they be notified and when?
So, yeah, there are, once we get into past the NEPA process, it's appropriate to engage on right-of-way. Because this project, again, has the potential to change, there are a lot of tracks that we really have to wait for that final design from that developer until we don't want to come to you and say, hey, this is a full take and we need to start talking about fair market value and the process that's outlined on that handout. And then as it turns out, in the final design, we need 10 feet, right? So that's why we have to wait until we get definitive right-of-way drawings on the final design before you can speak to this.
Understood. But we heard you say that could be starting in 26?
Yeah,
in 26.
within the next year, we're hopeful to start that process.
I like Barbara's question about who are the business entities. You say that's on the site.
Yes, yeah.
Okay, and good.
It specifically is not on the project website. I want to be very clear. If you go looking for that, the best way to do that is just to Google TDOT P3. It'll take you to our actual P3 divisional page. All of that information is there. It is labeled as a hyperlink as short list P3 or I-24 Southeast Choice Lane short list. It is there. It breaks down the teams.
Yeah. Okay. Final. Go ahead.
Yeah, well, to that one, we in our peer exchanges with other states, we have seen that pretty consistently, about 70% of the construction work on those projects was performed by local in-state contractors, which I'm a former contractor a lot of my former contractor friends wanted to understand, you know, are they going to be parachuting bulldozers in here? And the answer is no. Local contractors will be working on this job.
Okay. And the last thing I wanted to ask was, who are the people in Washington? You said this is federal work. So somebody in Washington had to get this group of business people together.
No, I'm
Who
sorry.
do we talk to in Washington if they're driving this?
Well, the state manages the federal highway system. The states manage the federal highway system. We initiated this project. We get federal dollars, which are not enough to tackle a project like this. We send our gas taxes, our federal gas taxes, to DC. We get those back through an apportionment.
Okay.
A federal allocation. But the feds don't say widen 24 and use a P3.
Okay. So then, now that I understand, who in the state initiated all this? Who was the legislator?
This was a governor initiative. This was passed with bipartisan support in April of 23. And it was, as I said, in response to, we needed new revenue streams, new ways to envision funding transportation other than fuel and EV fees that are flat.
Okay. And once again, I'll say the process did not get to the people, a lot of people that were involved in building, purchasing, selling properties. There's a lot of people here that probably wouldn't have bought had we known what was going on.
Well, I appreciate that, and I want you to hear that that is obviously the headline that we're going to take away tonight, is that number one, you have significant concerns, and number two, we can do better. So, we will do better.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Patrick Garner. I live on Moody Street. I'm the president of the Woodbine Neighborhood Association. I'm also an environmental planner, and I don't think we ever worked together, but I was a TDOT employee in the NEPA Special Projects Office from 2019 to
Nice to meet you.
late 2022. So first, I want to commend you for getting up here and talking about NEPA. It's a complex process that's not easy to communicate. To that end, if it's okay, I want to share a little bit about the process that I think might be helpful for some folks. Y'all are in scoping, right? So you're in NEPA scoping, and there are multiple points for public engagement. This first type of public engagement is going out and saying, these are the problems that we have. How do you think we should address them? This is where we want to do a project. How might it create impacts? And so they're looking for you to make comments that say, this is how I will be impacted, this is how my community will be impacted, so that they can go back to the design board and make design decisions around that. It doesn't guarantee that those impacts will be avoided, but you can trust them when they say that this is a good faith effort to go out and get information from the community. So if you've shared something tonight up here about your personal impacts, please write that down into a formal public comment and submit it so that they have a record, and also they have to respond to it. That's a critical point in the NEPA process, that all substantive and relevant comments have to be addressed during the NEPA process. So those will be addressed during the draft of the environmental assessment, I assume here. So that's the next round of public engagement. After they're done with the environmental assessment, they'll come back and they'll say, this is what we've heard, this is what we plan to do, here are the expected impacts, what do you think about that? And there will be another opportunity to provide public engagement, and they're going to do a public hearing, which is a very formal process, court reporter and everything. So don't skip out on this round of public involvement. If you have something to say, write it down. I don't know when the public comment period ends. I thought it was tomorrow.
It is tomorrow.
But the NEPA process doesn't limit the time frame. Technically, they have to accept public comments throughout the life of the project. I will be sending an email trying to get a 15-day extension to the public comment period. So there's that. Another important part of the NEPA process is defining the purpose and need, which is what you say, this is the problem that we intend to address. And so my question is, if you are trying to address this problem of urban congestion, and you have the burden to consider all feasible and prudent alternatives, does the Transportation Modernization Act limit those dollars to be used toward vehicle travel lanes? And if so, does that arbitrarily reduce the scope of alternatives that you can consider?
The Transportation Modernization Act allows us to use public-private partnerships to build new additional travel lanes in Tennessee, user-fee
For
facilities.
motor vehicles.
That's
so
correct.
You're unable to assess whether a public transportation option could equally meet the need to alleviate congestion in downtown Nashville.
The incorporation of public transportation in terms of buses is absolutely a part. But if you're asking me if we could take the TMA dollars and go do a rail project, I don't believe the legislation was framed for that. No. That's, I'm not, I didn't write the legislation, and I'm not a lawyer, but I'm pretty clear on what
that'll be part of my book.
Yeah, that's fine.
And just, I've got to get home for toddler bedtime, so I can't stay too long. But if you're interested in like a lunch and learn to learn about the NEPA process, I can't speak to the specifics of this project. I was never on this project at TDOT. I don't know the details, but I do have quite a depth of knowledge about NEPA. Happy to help people craft public comments, understand the process, understand how they fit in the process, what the studies are. You can reach out to Alexa and the Glencliff Neighborhood Group, who have my contact information.
So you can help us do all this by tomorrow, as soon as the deadline?
No. Yeah. If you're confident about what you want to say, please submit it tonight and have it in by tomorrow. But they are not able to cut off when they receive public comments. They give a window, but they're legally required to consider everything. So
just on the TDOT site, is that when you submit this?
Yeah, you can still, the email and that hotline has been live for a year now. I mean, all of this has been accessible, and we have been accepting comments via those modes for some time. Thank you.
Yeah.
Also,
thank you.
that was really great.
Yeah, but would love to help folks out. Hopefully we get a 15-day extension, and if not, there's still time. We can still talk about it.
All right, guys, we have time for 2 more questions, and then we're going to have to start wrapping up here. So if you've not asked a question yet, please come to the front of the line. All right, and try to keep it brief. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Elena Carly-Ornelas. I live at Radnor. So 7 Mile Creek and Mill Creek are both on the state's 303D list, and one of the main concerns is sedimentation. So I'm not familiar with the environmental reduction and things that TDOT does. I know that that's part of the plan, but is there a community mechanism for us to hold people accountable for if we have this sudden increase in environmental degradation? Are there things that we as a community could do some citizen science to maybe get some before and after? Because it's going to be a very clear, it's not going to be non-point source pollution. It is a before and after. So there's stuff that we could be setting up to do some background monitoring. And if there is environmental degradation, who pays for remediation? Is it us? Is it the owners? Would we have to sue? What does that process look like with the state?
Yeah, I wish I had an SME with me right now. But
I mean, honestly, he may know more than us, to be very, very honest.
But any TDOT project has to follow permit requirements. There are a whole list of permits that are required for us to obtain and/or the builder to obtain, and those permits, the requirements of those, they have teeth. As I said, I've been a contractor, and I know that you have to follow your guidelines to avoid discharge, and this project is no different from any other in that regard. But as far as what you all can do, you obviously know more about what you all could do in terms of getting out there and doing things to hold folks accountable, and there's absolutely nothing wrong with that.
So I guess a simpler way to word my question is, when you were a contractor, who were you afraid was going to sue you? Everyone?
I was afraid I was going to get a notice of violation from
the state, from TDOT?
from either TDEC or whoever they had delegated. If it was in an urban area, they would delegate that to an urban authority in some cases. But yeah, you're worried about getting a notice of violation and potentially paying fines.
Okay, thank you.
Hi, my name is Aaron. I live on Curry Road. Some of the renderings that I saw show a new interchange at East Thompson Lane. And my question is if the project will provide funding to add safety and other infrastructure improvements to East Thompson Lane to accommodate the additional traffic, or if that is left up to the city.
Yeah. So the short answer is that this is an interstate project, and we can't fix every ill along the way with one project. But what we can do is work with Metro, work with the other communities that we pass through, and I mean, some of those Thompson Lane improvements, perhaps those have choose how you move dollars that are aimed at them. And so we're really looking forward. And as I said, choose how you move came in when we were already rolling on choice lanes. And so we're excited about thinking about ways that revenue stream, coupled with the choice lane project, can spread some solutions beyond the right-of-way of I-24. That's what it is.
We are currently working with NDOT to make sure that they have a project on East Thompson, right? That is safety bike ped improvements. And we're working with them to make sure that we're engaging in a way that they know the impacts of our project, we know the impacts of their project, and we actually just had a recent meeting with Metro and NDOT to go over the conceptual design with them, since they're such a integral stakeholder in all of this, right? They have projects and choose how you move. So to make sure that as they plan the choose how you move plan, that they can adjust and even work hand in hand with choice lanes. So we are monitoring that, and you know, what the city then choose to do with all that is up to them.
I just have a really quick question. Public comments, is it by tomorrow, meaning including tomorrow,
Yes.
October 23rd?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
I also have a question. It's about the email address. Is it the TDOT.24 choice lanes at Tennessee.gov? Yes. Okay. And then the project hotline number is 615-451-8039. Okay. I want to make sure. No, I've got that. I just want to make sure that what's on the website is the right information. Yeah. Okay.
I want to thank you guys for coming out and doing this. I know you didn't have to, and there's absolutely a lot of concerned people in here, obviously. My name is Alexa Little. I am the Glencliff Neighborhood Group President. I look like this because we did a beautiful mural on Antioch Pike today. But I just wanted to say that the reason you're here is because somebody in your neighborhood took it upon themselves to knock on your door, to leave you a flyer, to let you know. So please take the opportunity to get more involved with your neighborhood group.
And I'm Julie James. I am the president of 16th United. We are an organization that is bringing all of the different neighborhood groups together to be informed about issues that are going on in our district. We have a website, 16thunited.org. On there, we try to keep all the different issues that are going on. The rezoning proposal from last year, this proposal, the information for this is out there. The Glencliff Road rezoning is out there. There's one more I'm missing. Anyway, everything that we know that's going on with the neighborhood, we try to keep as much out there information that you can access anytime. We try to have links, like if for one of the proposals you're not happy with it, we have a button where you can email right there, from there, either to our councilwoman, to planning, to whoever are the right people to contact if you have questions. So please visit our site, you can sign up for emails, and we'll keep you informed as much as we can. Come out to anything you can do, and just join us and be active and know what's going on and how you can impact the community. Thank you.
Thank you.
Just real quick, the Glencliff Neighborhood Group did pay for this space and the delicious cookies and bread. Please take them home. So if you would like to donate, we won't turn you away.
Tax deductible.
Thank you guys all for coming, and yeah, we'll see you soon.